Hi everybody. Welcome back to Want the Right Dog, Ask the Right Questions. Thank you very much for joining me. Had a little technical difficulty here. I was going to do this on my laptop, but I had to pull up my cell phone again. I'm really glad you joined me. Thank you for taking time out on your Saturday or your Sunday to join me. This topic today is going to be so many choices, because there's lots of them. And I've called this part one because there are that many choices, and I don't want to take up too much of your time on a Sunday, so I like to keep these short. So I'm going to time myself here and go through as much as I can today, and then next Sunday, if there's more to go over, then we'll continue on. I also brought my spectacles with me because I realized that I couldn't see if anybody typed anything in, so pardon me if I do that. I also have some notes with me because there is a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that we go through everything. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at basic traits and specific breed characteristics when it comes to making a choice on picking a dog or a puppy. Again, this is something that as a family you should all be sitting down talking about, because there's a lot that goes into this. So let's get started on this very important step. Let's talk first about size. What size dog or puppy do you want? When your puppy grows up, if a Great Dane comes into your home, it's going to be kind of little as a puppy, but as an adult dog, it's going to be a pretty big dog. So do you want a big dog like a Great Dane? Do you want a toy breed like a Chihuahua? Or do you want something in between like a Border Collie, size-wise? So one of those things to look at would be, what size house do you have? Sometimes a bigger dog in a smaller house isn't exactly the best fit. Sometimes a tiny dog in a big house, well, gee, they can get lost in the shuffle. So think about the size of your dog and what that means. Another consideration to size would be if you have somebody elderly that's living with you, or you have a hard time walking and ambulating, you have very small children. Even looking at that is important when it comes to the size of dog that you're picking, because everybody needs to kind of be able to fit and move safely within your home. So when you think about the size, think a little bit about that stuff too. Another thing you want to look at is the fur. Dogs come in all kinds of sizes and colors when it comes to fur. Do you want a long-coated dog? Do you want a short-coated dog? Do you want a double-coated dog? Looking at the different kinds of dogs and the fur that they have on them, maybe there's somebody who might be allergic. Do you need a hypoallergenic dog? Do you want a dog that's fur doesn't shed too much? Doesn't seem like much of a thought process, but when you think about it, that is kind of important to decide even that. What type of fur do you want your dog to have? Because whether you know it or not, you'll probably be wearing it sometimes too. Right? So that's something to think about. Another thing you want to think about would be your dog's energy level. So, look at yourself and your family. Are you guys active? And if you are, then maybe you might want a really active breed dog, such as, a collie breed of some sort, a dog that loves to run, a dog that loves to really get out there. And if you're very active, that kind of a dog might be great for you. Or maybe are you a couch potato? So if you're a couch potato, that Border Collie probably is not the best choice for you, because that dog will probably not get as much exercise as they need, and that's not fair for you or the dog. Maybe you might want to look at getting an older dog if you're a couch potato, or maybe a dog that isn't quite as active a breed, such as a Basset, an English Bulldog, something along those lines. So it's important to consider you and your family's activity levels on a daily basis when you're choosing a breed that has the characteristics that are going to come and live in your home. Do you really like a tidy house? Are you a tidy housekeeper? Do you like to have everything in its place and have everything nice and clean and tidy? And that's great if you do, and it's great to acknowledge that, because again, you want to pick a dog or a puppy that's going to come into your home that's going to fit in with that cleanliness. Some dogs, like a St. Bernard or Newfoundland, that have the big jowly jowls, they like to drool. And that can kind of get all over the place sometimes. So that might not be the best choice if you like a tidy home. I just spent about 2 hours today grooming my 3 Alaskan Malamutes, and I can tell you that double-coated dogs and northern breeds are going to have hair all over the house during certain times of the year, and you're going to find hair all year round, but during the times when they blow their coat, which is about twice a year, it is epic. So if you really prefer to have a tidier home and you don't have a lot of time to clean, it's very fair for you to say, yeah, that's probably not the breed for me. So you want to think about that part of it. How much time do you have to clean? How much time do you actually have to take care of the coats? Because some of these dogs' coats are wash and wear, which is great. And sometimes it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to take care of a dog's coat properly so that they can be healthy and their skin can be healthy and they have full range of movement, because sometimes their fur can get matted in areas where their bodies are always moving. So it's really okay to be honest with yourself as to how much time you have to do coat care. So are you somebody that likes and cherishes quiet time? And if you and your family like to be quiet and like to, have a quiet environment, then probably a beagle is not the best bet. A trait in a beagle, it's with the breed, is they will bark and they will howl. And yes, we can help train and we can help guide that behavior. But when you look at it, a beagle is meant to bay and to bark. That's why they're born this way. So if you like your quiet time, it's a little unfair to think that we're going to have a beagle and bring them into our home and expect them to be quiet too. So we can consider that as well. Your landscape, your outdoors. Do you like to have a pristine landscape? I know in my house we have what I call a habitat. We don't have a landscape. We have 3 Alaskan Malamutes, and so they can be a little tough on the yard and the grass and all that. So we've just decided that we have a habitat for our dogs, and we don't worry too much about keeping up appearances per se. But if you are the type of person that likes to have a really pristine landscape, that's great. I think it's good to acknowledge that, but maybe a terrier breed wouldn't necessarily be the type of breed that you would want, because terriers love to dig. Some northern dogs love to dig. So it's really important to either acknowledge that you're going to get this dog and that this dog is going to dig and give them a spot where they can, or maybe it might be a good idea just to look at a different breed of dog. So let's take a look. We've been kind of looking at some breed characteristics, but these were just a few questions to ask yourself and ask your family. So when you're looking at what kind of dog you want to get, let's look at some specific breed characteristics. Let's look at hounds, for example. Hound dogs, they follow their nose. That's what they do. All those wrinkles and all the ears and all that, they're They are specially designed to pick up scents and to sniff and to follow. Northern breeds, for example. If we look at northern breeds, I've heard a lot of people tell me, well, your Malamutes must be very independent. And they are independent thinkers. They have to be. Their DNA has been put together in such a way where they are thinking on the Arctic, on the ice, far away from their human, and they have to make decisions on their own and not really wait for us to tell them which way to go and what to do, because sometimes that could be life and death if they're living in the Arctic. Just because they're living here in my backyard doesn't make that trait any less strong. So when you look at certain breeds of dogs, they are more independent, and acknowledging that and asking yourself, do I have the ability to train and the time to train a dog like that? Because sometimes they will take a little bit more time for training, and we need to be a little bit more tuned into them than some other breeds of dogs may be. So, and just reading my notes here, I said there's a lot to cover. With herding breeds are beautiful. I remember I loved the look of a Blue Merle Aussie, Australian Shepherd. But the more research I did on the breed, the more I realized that this particular breed was not going to be a good fit for my home. So when we look at herding breeds like collies and shepherds, blue heelers, Aussies, Australian Shepherds, these dogs are born to herd, and they'll herd anything that'll move. So that's really good if you live on a farm, but if you live in a home with small children and you have a blue heeler that, for example, that nips at heels in order to herd cattle, or you have a collie that uses body pressure to herd sheep, is that the type of dog we want living with our children who are moving around and running erratically? And if we do, are we willing to take the time to manage their behavior and manage the environment so that we give them activities to do that help satisfy the herding instinct and manage it when our children are running around, so that our dogs don't inadvertently try and hurt our children, and maybe something can happen in that case. So we acknowledge the DNA and we acknowledge the traits of this particular breed, and we make sure that we keep everybody safe if we just decide to bring that breed into our home. Another question asks, do you love having people over? Is your house very busy? Do you have a lot going on? And if you do, that's great. I mean, that's great. I love, that's great that you have a lot of people coming and going, and that your house is very opening and welcoming. But then if you bring a dog into your home that possibly is a guarding breed, they have a tendency to be a little bit more leery of people coming into the home. So again, are we willing to manage that behavior? Are we willing to work with our dog to make sure that they understand that people coming into the home is going to be okay? If we have a really busy home, maybe a dog that is bred to do guarding behaviors is not the best breed for us. So these are just a few of the choices that we have to make in looking at our environment, and the breed and the traits of the dog and how the two come together. It's really okay to go with the thought process of, I want this type of dog or that type of dog or this look or that look. And then once you've done all your research, if you've decided that that particular breed would not be a good fit, that's all right. It's okay to go and look at something else, do your research, and really understand the breed characteristics of a dog and the energy levels and the fur and how everything fits in to your home and your family. Because by doing that, Your family's future and your dog's future is going to be that much better when you bring it all together. So sitting down with your family and having a really good talk about what traits you want in your dog, what specific breed behaviors you would accept and not accept, and really sitting down and doing a lot of research is going to just make everything work out so much better. I found when I was looking at the Australian Shepherd to bring into my home, I talked to breeders, I talked to people that owned the dog, and asked them a lot of questions. And in asking all those questions, I realized that that particular breed at that time would not be right for my family. We ended up getting a golden retriever, which fit much better into my family at that time. My husband and I both love being outside in the winter, and so when the time came, we decided that Alaska Malamutes would be a good fit for our home because we love being outside in the winter time. So this is the kind of things you want to look at. So what I'd like to just bring to the table is sit down with the family, have a nice chat, decide what it is you want to do as far as picking out the kind of dog that's going to fit best with your family. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I would love to speak with you before you go and choose a dog and to help you narrow down the exact traits and characteristics and breed specific activities that the dogs will do and see if it fits in with your family. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and thank you very much for joining me today, and for listening on this particular topic. We're going to be talking about some other choices that you'll want to make when you look for a dog or a puppy before you bring them into your home next Sunday. So have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.